Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Be the Wolf. I want to share with you today about how I struggled with communication a lot. And I thought I was really good and really clear and very articulate. And I really thought I was getting my point across in so many ways in my business, in my relationships, with myself. But the truth was, I fucking sucked at communication and I had no idea because people liked me. So therefore, I must be fine with communication. But the truth of the matter is that I was not getting the results I wanted in my life. I was not getting the results I wanted in my business. I was not getting the results I wanted in my relationship. People would say they heard me, say they understood, but they would do the total opposite of what I asked. I would sit there. I remember times working with people on graphics and logos and creative and designs type of stuff. And I would think I would articulate so well what it was that I wanted. And I would give pictures, I would give examples, I would draw things. And then it would come back not like what I wanted. It's like, fuck, what am I doing wrong? Where is my problem in this communication? Now, obviously, I can blame it on everybody else, right? That's what we do, a lot of us. And I've spent my time that, oh, this graphic designer is the worst. This boyfriend is the worst. This client, oh my God, how many times do I have to tell them the same thing and they just don't get it? So I don't know if you've experienced anything like that, but if you have, then you're probably going to want to listen to this episode. You'll maybe learn something from my experiences. So I'm going to dive deep into what has been in the way of my communication and what I see a lot in other people, my clients, and especially entrepreneurs. When you are not, when you're just decent and good at communication, you can get by pretty well. All you have to do is listen to other people and do what they say, right? If you're working for somebody else, you just follow the rules, do what you're told, and you're fine. But when you're an entrepreneur, when you're a leader, when you're somebody who's trying to create change in the world, especially something that you really care about, it's not as easy to just get by with okay communication. So I'm going to go back in time. So for me, I used to be a bartender. And at the time, bartending was really good for me. I made pretty good money. I got to talk to people. I really liked to connect with people. But there was this moment one time when I was sitting there outside of the bar. I wasn't working and I was having conversation with some people and they started to say some things and I just turned around and walked away. And I was like, what the fuck is that about? Why did I just walk away? And I realized behind the bar, if I'm not into a conversation or I don't like the conversation or where it's going, I can just walk away under the guise that I have to go do some work. But here I was not behind the bar and I did that same thing. But what I didn't realize was that when I walked away, sometimes it was because I had to work, but when I walked away, typically it was because I was feeling a little bit uncomfortable. Maybe I was worried about what I was going to say next. If you've ever been listening to somebody and planning what you were going to say next, you might be able to relate to this. Or I was worried that my opinion, that's a big one for me, that my opinion would be an opinion that they didn't like. So I would walk away so they wouldn't have the opportunity to ask about my opinion. And so over time, I began to realize that I would walk away or try to avoid or try to get out of conversations when I felt an uncomfortable sensation. And so that's where it started. And when I was behind the bar, it was easy, right? I could just walk away from a conversation under the guise that I have to work. No problem. easy peasy. And what we do as humans, what I definitely did, is we have this tendency to make our life, we do this subconsciously, make our life so that we feel the least amount of discomfort, right? And if you all remember during COVID, all of a sudden, all of our coping mechanisms were taken away and we were stuck having to face all these uncomfortable sensations. And a lot of people drank a lot more. They started exercising more, like doing these things to avoid uncomfortable sensations. So for me, behind the bar, I would walk away. I would also drink. I would do a shot. Oh, stressed out, not feeling good, a little uncomfortable. Do a shot of booze. They'll numb it right out. There are still, I think to this day, might not be a faster cure for feeling anxious than a 2-ounce shot of booze down your throat. I don't recommend it, but it works. And I understand why I leaned deep into that for a period of time in my life. But when we're talking about communication, this is the beginning for me. And bartending, I had other dreams. I had things that I want to do. I was a photographer, I was an artist, and I would have a lot of art shows. But here I would be at my art shows and I would freeze when people would be looking at my art. I didn't want to talk to them. And I know that the best thing you can do when you're at an art show is communicate and talk and converse with the people who are looking at your art, because not only is your art for sale, but when people get to know you and know the story and get the feeling of who you are, there's a deeper connection to your work. And that helps to sell your work. And I'd always known this, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't network with other gallery owners. I couldn't have these conversations. I would just literally hide in the corner and only talk to the people I knew. Not surprisingly, my art career did not go very far. And it wasn't because I wasn't talented. I was talented. The work that I did was beautiful, but I couldn't put myself in front of people and have a conversation that expressed who I was, because here's the truth. For me, it was scary as fuck to communicate, especially if it was about me, truly me, and what I wanted, what I felt, what I thought. And when you create art that's coming from the inside of you. So if I'm going to talk about my art with people, I'm going to have to say, hey, look, this project was born out of the fact that I felt invisible, that I couldn't face looking at myself straight on, that it's about the feelings of feeling completely muddled and buried in everybody and everything else. I couldn't articulate those things. I couldn't communicate what my art meant to me. I was stuck in this freeze emotionally. And so my art career suffered. And maybe for you, maybe it's not a situation where you have to network, but if you're have a passion business, a business that's meaningful to you, or you're working for a company, a business that has a mission that you're so passionate about, you can talk about all the mission all you want, but people really connect and want to know more and want to invest in what you're doing when they know about who you are. And so plenty of us talk about ourselves, right? Oh, I'm doing this and this. And I used to do that all the time. I used to talk about, oh, I'm working on this thing and I'm working on that thing. And this thing happened to me and this thing happened to me. But I wouldn't actually let you in. I would never let you in. I wouldn't tell you how I felt about it. I wouldn't tell you about how it affected me. I wouldn't tell you that, hey, this is really hard for me to network, because growing up, it was dangerous for me to ask questions. And so if I'm going to get to know you, here we're going into another level of communication. If I'm going to get to know you, whether it be a friendship, whether it be a business relationship, a client, if I'm going to really get to know you, I've got to do something other than just observe you. And while my observations may be true and maybe they're giving me a deeper level of truth because I learned to be super observant, but they're not telling me anything about how you feel about the world. And so for me to understand you, like truly understand you, I have to ask questions. For me to get to know you, I have to ask questions. And sure, I can observe all these things, and I'm trained to look at what's underneath. And sure, I can probably have a conversation with you and know maybe even more about what's going on with you at a subconscious level but that does not tell me anything about how what you think and how you feel. And it's not going to help me understand you, and it's not going to help me make you feel seen and heard. So I had a trouble asking questions because it was dangerous. My mom did not like it growing up. So there were consequences. And I felt that maybe that's why she abandoned me. Maybe that's why she would not come home at days at a time. And it was definitely the result of it was the preemptive thing that happened before I got yelled at, before I got hit, before a lot of that stuff happened. So I learned to not ask questions. And so when you're building a business and you're building relationships, whether they're personal or business, one of the big things is you've got to get to know people. You've got to get to understand what they want. And it's not necessarily the deep truth of what they want, because some people are so disconnected from that, they don't even know. And even though I might be able to pick that up at the subconscious level because I learned to track it for the deep subconscious things, that doesn't help this person feel safe with me, trust me, like me. And if I like them, and I might want to do business with them or have a friendship with them, I'm going to need to dive deeper. I'm going to need to create this bond, this closeness. And there are things that need to happen. I need to be able to ask questions. So here's an example of how it worked for me when it came to asking questions. And it didn't matter whether it was business, whether it was networking, whether it was in my art shows. If I'm going to talk to a gallery owner, I'm going to need to ask questions. What kind of art do you show at your galleries? What are you looking for in an artist? But I couldn't do any of that. So I couldn't get anywhere. I couldn't make any headway in any of these relationships because I was stuck in fear. I was stuck and worried about what I was going to say. I was stuck and worried about putting my foot in my mouth. I was stuck and worried about the consequences. Oh my God, if I say it wrong or do it wrong, they're going to blacklist me. My mind would go a little out there. I'll go a little crazy. Obviously, that's not going to happen. You have one conversation, but you never know. So these were the things that would go on my head. I'm like, oh my God, if I say it wrong, do it wrong, this gallery owner is going to talk to another gallery owner and everybody's going to hate me. And I don't know about you, but I would think like this. And the truth of the matter, what I've learned to discover over the years is nobody cares. They don't care that much about you. They care more about what's going on with you. So they're not sitting there being like, oh my God, Genea said this one weird thing. And now I'm going to go tell everybody in the world. Most people don't operate that way. Sure, there might be a few, but generally speaking, more people are concerned about their own lives than your lives. So, not asking questions. I remember I was new in this relationship, and I think we had already done the I love yous, and I was bringing him to meet my family. And I really brought somebody to meet my whole family, because every year we would go to my mom's house and my aunts would come and my grandma would be there. So it was the whole family. And I never brought anyone to meet the whole family. So we're there, and I'd been dating this guy for months. And my aunt starts asking him a million questions. And in my head, I'm like, oh my God, Don't ask him any more questions. Don't freak out. Don't say anything. And Donna, be quiet. Shh. You're gonna make him mad. You're gonna make him pissed off. He's not gonna like me anymore. He's gonna be like, oh my God, I hated your family. I'm going to leave you. This is what's going on in my head. I'm like freaking the fuck out. Just stop asking him questions. Stop asking him questions. But here's the thing, we have been dating for months. I learned more about him in the 10 minutes of her asking him questions than I had all the months that we had been dating. And I'm not kidding. I didn't know that he wanted to go to school for a certain thing. I didn't understand what his politics were. I didn't know anything about why he wanted to go to school for that. I didn't know that he had tried to go to school before. I didn't know there were all these things. But I was so afraid to ask questions in this relationship that I was missing out on a lot of closeness. Yes, of course, we had the intimate closeness, the physical closeness, and we shared some of the things that we were struggling with. But I only received what he was willing to say without a question, or yeah, I just waited for him to tell me whatever he wanted to tell me. And I would talk about what I was doing and blah, 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 because I had to fill the space. I had to fill the noise. I couldn't just sit in silence. So I would just talk and ramble. But honestly, I didn't really tell him too much about me either. I shared about the things I wanted to do, the things that I had learned were appropriate and okay, and people would like me if I said those things. But I didn't share about the deeper things. A little bit here and there. I actually did get a little vulnerable with him. So I did share with that. But the general conversation was very surface level. And I did have some moments where I got vulnerable. I remember when we first dated, I was freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, I have to tell him this thing. Sometimes I like, okay, now I'm going to tell you guys. Sometimes I can talk to spirits on the other side. Sometimes I know things that are going to happen before they happen. Sometimes I walk by lights and they shut off. So there's this energetic mojo thing that I have going on. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, oh my God, in the beginning, I have to tell this guy about this, because if we get deep into this relationship and he doesn't accept that part of me, then I'm gonna have to leave it and it's gonna be terrible. And it was terrifying. If you've ever shared something that you thought people would dislike you for or reject you for, you know that feeling. It's vulnerable, it's terrifying. And so I remember at the beginning of this relationship, I did that. And he was accepting. He told me a weird story about how something in his life was similar. And I was like, oh my God, it's okay. It's safe to be me. That was the feeling. And that's an important statement right there when we're talking about communication, because the biggest thing, the biggest reason why people hold their tongue and don't ask questions and don't dig deeper and don't share the truth about what's really going on with them is because there is this fear that it's not okay to be me. At least that's how it was for me. And I know I've talked to enough people that I know it is for a lot of other people. In networking, in relationship building and business and personal, you have to be able to ask questions and you have to feel safe to be you. And I know a lot of us didn't grow up feeling safe to be ourselves. It was like you would do one thing and you would get ridiculed for it, whether it was from your peers or your parents. And you would think to yourself like, oh, it's not okay to be that part of me. Oh, it's not okay for me to be strong as fuck and stand up for myself, especially not as a woman. You must be amenable, nice, bendable. So I became all those things. I became those things because it kept me safe when I was young. But as an adult, it screws everything up. As a business owner, it screws everything up. I couldn't stand up for myself. I couldn't hold true to my vision. Didn't even know, I didn't even know what I truly wanted because I had been bending myself for so long, bending my communication, not saying what I thought, looking, tracking everybody else for what they were thinking and what they might think is okay before I open my mouth. And if you're a business owner, that's not going to work because you're the one that has to hold the vision of the company and you have to hold it solidly and steadily. But if you're not connected to all of you, if I'm not connected to the strong, the powerful, the vision leading part of me, because that part of me got in trouble, got abused, had horrible things happen. If I'm afraid to be that version of me, that part of me, then what's going to happen? I'm going to bend. And I did it. Oh, you tell me this strategy will work better? Okay, then I'm going to do that. Oh, you tell me this marketing will do better? Okay, then I'm going to do that. Oh, you don't like my logo? Shit, maybe I need to change it. And I'm going to be riddled with this self-doubt and this back and forth and flipping, flopping, changing my program, changing this, doing that, because I can't hold to what is true and right for me. And this is particularly important if you have a passion business that's coming from your heart. If you're looking just at the metrics and you're doing all that's fine. It's a little bit different because you are looking at pure just strategy. But when you're talking about a business that's coming from you, it's not just the laundromat down the street. It's coming from your vision, your creativity, your idea. You have to be able to know what is right because there's something that's bigger than you that's guiding that. And you have to be able to tap into yourself to be able to access that intuition, that inner knowing. It's connected to that which is bigger than us. You can call it what you want, spirit, universe, God, but there's something that comes through you when you're talking about your passion businesses, when you're talking about the relationships that are right for you. But if you're tracking your communication and holding back, saying what's true and right for you, you're not going to attract and connect with the right business partners or the right romantic partners or the right friends. Because what you're coming up with, what you're leading with is inauthentic. If I am constantly trying to feel safe, if I am constantly thinking about, oh, how do I convert and turn this person into a client? What do I need to say to do that? I am coming with this frequency of inauthenticity. And right now, with AI and everything else, authenticity is so important. And everybody's talking about authenticity. Oh, yes, just be yourself. But the truth of the fucking matter is, most people don't know who the fuck that is. And I'm going to say that is the truth because most people are operating in this little bubble of who they should be, who they were told was the right thing to do. I did it. Grow up, get good grades, go to college, get a good job. I bent around that a lot, but I tried all of those things until I couldn't take it anymore. And I'm like, this isn't for me. I'm a chemical engineer major and I hate it. And I hate everything about what I'm studying. I can't imagine doing this for the rest of my life. I have to stop because it's killing my soul. And so I pivoted. I started doing my photography. I started doing my art and I bartended to make ends meet, but then I couldn't fucking communicate. I couldn't communicate the vision that I was creating with my art. I was just creating it, but I couldn't talk to anybody about it. I couldn't sell it because that meant I would have to expose all the parts of me that were condemned, that were ridiculed, that were punished for expressing who I am, expressing what I want, expressing what I need. And for me, my life growing up was really traumatic. I had lots of big things happen. I literally was sexually abused after I had gotten in this guy's face, telling him how he was being an irresponsible piece of shit. I did not use that word shit, but I did say irresponsible. You're getting drunk while you're babysitting a kid. This is not what you're supposed to do. And I was just in his face. Right. But see that, and then terrible things happen to me after. And so I learned, oh, do not get angry. Do not stand up. Do not say what you think, or terrible things are going to happen. But here's the thing, that part of me that can stand up for myself, that can say what I think, that can articulate my vision, is exactly what needs to happen to make a business work. It's exactly what needs to happen to not sacrifice my soul in relationship. It's exactly what needs to happen for me to take care of my body every day. But because I had suppressed that aspect of myself that could communicate what I needed, what I thought, my opinions, because I had suppressed that part of me, I suppressed creating the life that was right for me, because everything now was run through the filter of, is this nice? Are they going to hurt me? Are they going to like me? And therefore, if I am bending my behavior to accommodate everybody else, I can't actually feel what is right for me anymore. And what is right for me actually feels incredibly terrifying, because when I did what was right for me when I was young, terrible things happened. I was sent to the car. My mom wouldn't come home for days. I would get ignored. And my mom, she was doing the best that she could with the resources she had, but she was so disconnected from herself that even when I would talk to her, it was like talking to a wall, because she wasn't even present. She wasn't even there. So you may not have had all this crazy trauma or terrible things happen, but maybe your parents were a little disconnected. And it was like they couldn't hear you. You couldn't get your needs met, your emotional needs met, because they were disconnected. They were a little zoned out. They were dissociated, or maybe they were unpredictable. Sometimes they were there, sometimes they weren't. So you learn, I don't know, how's it going to be? If I do it this way, will they be there? And that, but the thing is, it was never about you. And that's the thing, is as a kid, we think it's about us, but it was really about what was going on with them. And it was never about you. You are enough. You matter. There is nothing wrong with you. So if you felt like that and your parents felt disconnected and you became scared to say what you think, and you started bending yourself to try to fit into the mold of what you thought was going to be okay, or get you that connection, get you that love, get your needs met, you have disowned a part of yourself. You've disowned aspects of yourself. And in that, you don't have access to all that's available to you. So communication is so fucking important when it comes from the truth of who you are. And now some people, they were taught, be bold, be strong, be like in your face. But sometimes they want to be a little softer and a little gentler. But inside, they can hear, don't be a pussy, don't be weak. If you do that, you're never going to get what you want. And so what they end up doing is they bowl people over and they push, and people are like, oh my God, you're a fucking narcissist. Back the fuck off me. And so that part of them that's actually softer, gentler, calmer, kinder, has been suppressed. And so, in that, maybe in your business, you're like, I don't understand why nobody does what I actually want, why my employees don't actually get it done. I don't understand why nobody comes up with brilliant ideas and collaborates, because subconsciously they're fucking scared. They're scared of the consequences because you have projected this really brash kind of behavior that makes some people not feel safe. But it's not who you are. It's this extreme version of you that you learned would get your needs met when you were young, but it's not all of who you are. Just like I learned to soften, be kinder, be smaller, not try and be like crazy big and in your face, because in your face came with terrible consequences for me. So maybe for you, you lost love if you were not big and in people's face and loud and brash and strong and whatever it might have been. And so those circumstances that call for something a little bit softer, a little kinder, you can't do that because for you, subconsciously, just like for me standing up for myself, the nervous system is no, don't you dare. You say it and you just feel, oh my God, what's going to happen? What am I going to get yelled at? Am I going to get yelled at for being a pussy? Am I fucking weak because I let this person have a second chance? Relationship or business, how we do one thing, how we do everything. And maybe you talk like that to yourself also, because communication is just not how we communicate with other people, but it's how we communicate with ourselves. Are you telling yourself that you're right, that you're good? Pickles. Are you telling yourself the things that you need to hear to feel at peace? Or are you telling yourself things that are making you feel guilt and shame, sadness, maybe fear? What are you telling yourself? What is the things that you say to yourself? I heard a story that David Goggins, and he's achieved so many things. And I heard a story, and this is hearsay, so I don't know for sure if it's true, but he would look in the mirror, and the way he would motivate himself every day is he'd look in the mirror and go, "You're fat, you're fat, you're fat, you're fat, you're fat, you're fat." And that's how he would motivate himself. So now he is moving in this way. With he's communicating with a hint of, I'll say, hatred, anger, fear. There's all these negative emotions in the way he's communicating, and he's trying to motivate himself by putting himself down. And if you truly want success in life, but you also want to feel good, to feel vibrant, to feel joyful, to feel that blissful fucking peace, that's not the way you're going to talk to yourself, because you can't operate from that low frequency emotions, those emotions that feel contracting. Sure, you might be able to motivate and get things done, but you're just going to keep recreating situation where you have to keep operating that way. So for me, when I was trying to network, when I was trying to build relationships, when I was trying to talk to people at my art shows, I would feel all this contracting and I would freeze. But now maybe because I did learn how to push through in some circumstances, like push through. You have to do this, Genea. You will not fucking survive if you don't go out and get that job. And you just feel this fear and it's, oh, this contracting, like the you're fat, you're fat, you're fat. Get off your ass because you're fat, you're fat. There. So I'm coming from this place of contraction, and everything I'm doing is from this low frequency of contraction. And the result of that is that on the other side of that, what I create from that is situations that's a constant battle. If I'm constantly telling myself I'm fat, then I'm constantly, for my whole life, just fucking struggling against that. And I don't know about you, but I'm fucking done with the struggle. I want the ease. I want the peace. I want the love. I want the joy. I want to feel alive, but not because I'm in pain, not because I'm struggling. I want to feel the vibrancy. I want to feel lit up from the inside. And I've been working on that my whole life. I didn't even know that's what I was working on, but it comes from that acceptance, like that piece of me that can stand up for myself and tell off somebody in a situation that's dangerous. And here's where we take it even better. And I clarified that in a situation that's dangerous. Because even then, even when I told that guy off before that terrible thing happened to me, I was coming from this place of fear. I was coming from this place of, oh my God, what is this person going to do to me? Because I had already been tied up and locked in closets by people that had babysat me. I had already been abused in situations by other people who were watching me. So I was coming from this place of fear. And the funny thing is, because I was coming from that contraction emotion, telling him all this shit that I thought, I created. This was not my fault. Obviously, he was an adult. I was a child. It was not my fault for what he did to me. But the outcome of that created more of those contracting feelings. And now, where I can see now, because I've done so much of the healing work, is I could just have easily let him be instead of having to fight. He's going to get drunk and whatever. I'm going to go to my room and lock the door. And that would have been a smart thing for me to do as a little kid. Instead of feeling like I had to stay there and monitor him and be around him just in case like something bad happened. There were other things that I could have done, but more so as an adult, there are a million ways I could go about it. I don't need to be around somebody like that, but I don't have to run away. I can just choose differently from a place of calm, choose differently from a place of bliss, not from fear. And so when I'm not operating from fear, that part of me that's strong, that can stand up, that can push if there is actual danger, that's the key, is also the part that's, oh, there's another way. I can do this straight line to my goals and not have to bend what I think and what I need to do around everybody else's opinions in order to make this dream a reality. So, this all really boils down to when it comes to communication. If you are not communicating what you think and what you feel, it is because there is some fear or some internal sensation, emotion that you're subconsciously trying to avoid. And I know this is, you might not be aware of it, just like I wasn't aware of it when I was walking away from conversations behind the bar. I didn't even know. I didn't even realize it until that one point when I wasn't behind the bar. And then it took me many years to actually understand why I actually walked away. So if you find yourself not saying something, just notice the sensation that's going on within you and get curious about where that might have come from. Because the chances are it's not about what's actually happening now. It's probably about something that happened in the past. So you just don't want it to happen again. So you either hold your tongue or you start to say and plan what you're going to say before you say it, like waiting for your turn to talk while you're just trying to figure out what to say, what's the best thing to say, instead of feeling free enough to actually just let yourself say whatever comes out. And that's the thing. When we have learned somewhere along the way that it was not okay to be us, that it was not okay to say what we think, ask for what we need, and ask for what we want, we hold our tongue and it shuts down communication. And not everybody likes it when we say what we think and what we need and what we want, but those people are probably not in alignment for you. And the sooner you find that out, the better. Because if what they want and need is totally different than what you want and need, then what's the point of having the relationship? What's the point of having the connection if there's not some synergy? Okay, I have rambled long enough. So, those of you who follow me and know me know that there's many ways that you can check in with me about how to overcome some of this stuff. One of my favorite ways is firewalking. Check my website for firewalking events, check my social media for firewalking events. I also do one-day events in LA. Next one's coming up June 13th. And every week I have a freedom call. So if you just want to get on the call, find out what's going on, why you're not getting what you want, what's in the way, what's at the root of the problems. If you want to check in on that, I have weekly freedom calls every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific. I have all these ways for you to get involved because I know how hard it was for me to get to this place. And I don't want your path to be so long. Remember, everyone, when you operate from the wholeness of you, when you operate from the essence of you, when you operate from all of you, it's not just you that benefits. Humanity benefits too. Humanity evolves. We'll see you next time on Be the Wolf. Bye, everyone.